They were the chosen 12, men who walked beside Jesus. But their missions ended in blood, beheadings, crucifixions, and brutal executions. How did the apostles actually die? The historical records tell a terrifying story. It begins with the most infamous of them all, Judas Iscariot. His name is synonymous with betrayal. Iscariot might mean man of the dagger. For 30 pieces of silver, he led the guards to Gethsemane. But guilt consumed him. He tried to return the blood money to the temple, and then he met his end. One version says he hanged himself from a tree. Another, from the Book of Acts, claims he fell headlong and burst open, a gruesome end for the man who set the passion in motion. Next is the other Judas, Judas Thaddeus, often ignored in history to avoid confusion with the traitor. He traveled with Simon the Zealot, perhaps the most dangerous of the group. The Zealots were radical Jewish rebels, known for assassinating Romans with daggers. Together, these two ventured into the heart of the Persian Empire. Tradition says they were captured by pagan sorcerers in the city of Swamir. When they refused to worship the idols, the execution was barbaric. Simon the Zealot suffered a horrific fate. He was sawed in half alive, while Judas Thaddeus was beaten to death, his head crushed with a heavy club. Today, they are remembered as the patron saints of lost causes. Following the resurrection, the apostles scattered across the known world. Except for one, James the Less. He stayed behind in the eye of the storm. Often called the brother of the Lord, he became the first bishop of Jerusalem. St. Paul described him as one of the pillars of the church. But staying in Jerusalem was a death sentence. In the year 62 AD, the religious authorities ordered his execution. He was stoned to death, a brutal, chaotic execution. Stones rained down upon him until he was silenced forever. Tradition says his remains now rest in the Church of the Holy Apostles in Rome. He was the pillar that fell so the others could rise. Only Matthew and John belonged to the exclusive group of the 12 apostles who were also evangelists. Matthew began as a tax collector, a hated figure working for Rome. But he left it all behind. He spent 15 years preaching in Judea, writing the gospel that bears his name. Then he traveled south to Ethiopia. There, in the year 74 AD, he was martyred for his faith. Then there is Thomas, Doubting Thomas, the man who refused to believe until he touched the wounds of Christ. He took the message further than anyone, all the way to India. On July 3rd, 72 AD, in the ancient city of Mylapore, he was killed. Tradition says he was pierced by spears while praying, establishing the roots of Christianity in the East. Bartholomew, whose name means son of Ptolemy, is often identified as Nathaniel. He traveled to Armenia and India alongside Judas Thaddeus. His preaching emptied the pagan temples, infuriating the local king Astyages. The king gave him a choice: worship the idols or die. Bartholomew refused. His execution was the most gruesome of all. He was flayed alive. His skin was removed from his body while he was still breathing. A fate so terrible that Michelangelo painted himself as the flayed skin in the Sistine Chapel. Then there was Philip, the realist of the group. He preached in Hierapolis, modern-day Turkey. Like the others, he was martyred, crucified, and then buried under a pile of stones. silenced for asking to see the Father. John was the youngest of the 12 and the only one who escaped a violent execution. He belonged to the inner circle, standing at the foot of the cross. Jesus entrusted him with the care of his mother, Mary. But his life was far from easy. Under the Emperor Domitian, he was exiled to the rocky prison island of Patmos. There, in a dark cave, he wrote the final book of the New Testament, Revelation, a text filled with terrifying symbols of the apocalypse. While his brothers were martyred, John survived to see the turn of the century. He returned to Ephesus and died peacefully of old age around the year 101 AD, the only apostle to die in his own bed. Andrew was Peter's brother, the first to be called by Jesus. He traveled far north, preaching in the cold lands of Scythia and Russia. But in the Greek city of Patmos, his journey ended. Sentenced to crucifixion, he begged not to die like his Lord. He felt unworthy, so they crucified him on an X-shaped cross, known today as the St. Andrew's Cross. Then there was James the Greater, brother of John. Tradition says he preached in Spain before returning to Jerusalem. But in the year 44 AD, King Herod Agrippa decided to strike the church. James became the first apostle to be martyred. He was beheaded with a sword. Today, millions of pilgrims walk the Camino de Santiago to visit his tomb in Spain. Finally, we come to Peter, the rock on whom the church was built. During the brutal reign of Emperor Nero, he was captured in Rome. Sentenced to death, he made a final, shocking request. "Crucify me head down," he said. "I am not worthy to die like my master." So, Peter was crucified upside down. Then there was Paul, the apostle who traveled the furthest. As a Roman citizen, he was spared the cross. He was beheaded by the sword in the year 67 AD. And Matthias, who replaced Judas, was stoned and beheaded in Judea. They all drank from the cup of suffering they had promised to share. From betrayal to martyrdom, their blood watered the seeds of a new history. If you want to uncover more forgotten history, subscribe to History Unveiled.